Recording in progress.
Yeah.
That's easy fix.
Easy fix. So Ms. Provenza,
Present.
Mr. Jamelis,
Present.
Mr. Long.
Here.
All right.
Are there any additional emergency agenda items? Before I go to registered comments, I have a little comment we want to make here. The Borough Council welcomes public comment on agenda related items and issues that impact the community as a whole. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker to ensure all voices can be heard and to allow the council to focus on the agenda items. Public comment is not a forum for debate, personal grievances, or attacks on individual council members or borough staff. If you have a special concern, such as an issue related to your own property or a matter requiring discussion, please schedule a meeting with the borough manager, the president, or the mayor as appropriate for more appropriate and effective conversation. Thank you for your cooperation in keeping public comment constructive and focused on community work-wide matters.
I'd like to add that as a council, it is our deepest desire and appreciation that all of our staff members are recognized and appreciated for their hard work and dedication. Each individual on our staff plays a crucial role in ensuring the smooth operation for our community, and their contributions are integral to our success. It's important to recognize that small snippets of conversation in various settings do not capture the scope or impact of their work. It's essential to understand that no one can do their best work when a position is under constant scrutiny. A healthy, respectful work environment where all staff members are valued enables them to contribute best to our community. In order to keep Verona moving forward, we are grateful for all of our staff and their dedication.
Thank you. With that being said, we have registered comments from the public. We have one registered comment, Emily Stimmel from the Oakland Library, Verona representative.
Do I get
Please
it?
approach the podium,
Okay.
state your name and address and
Sure, okay.
sign your name.
Sign this
Here,
here.
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Emily Stimmel, 854 First Street. And as you mentioned, I am the representative of the Oakmont Carnegie Library. And just kind of came here to introduce myself in that role, to open up conversation if anyone is interested in learning more about the library and how it serves the rural community. And to share some materials, we actually have some information about the Taste of Two Towns event coming up May 4th, which is the two towns, Verona and Oakland, that we do every year. And that is coming up, and then there's also some calendars for other events at the library. So I'm open to whatever questions folks might have or any discussion about that.
Thanks, Emily.
Is the library open? Can anybody join the library? Do you have to be just a Oakland resident or?
Nope. Anyone can become, can get a library card there. It serves our two communities, Verona and Oakmont, but there's interlibrary loan and other ways you can interact with the entire Carnegie library system.
Very nice.
The only thing I was wondering, and that Stephanie and I were talking about a while back, is we were going to give story walks in one of our parks or at the community garden,
Yeah.
but staff kind of changed. I'm not sure if that grant even ended up getting funded, but if you could follow up with them on that. I think it's
Absolutely, I know there's some ideas for something that is very early in the works, but something that's almost like a book mode kind of setup that they're looking into possibly doing here. And with materials I'll need, you'll see the calendar, there's lots of events for small children, there's different crafts and book clubs and all sorts of things, so lots of opportunities to go there and interact.
Very nice, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in particular to leave these or?
You can leave them with Stephanie, she'll,
Okay, great,
she'll put them where they belong.
there you go, thank you.
Thanks for going today.
Thank you. This time we'll hear comments from the public. Please come to the podium, raise your virtual hand, try to limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Trying to get me longer now.
Takes us a while to say your last.
Okay, so this will be quick since I can't voice my public grievances. My name is Lance Schwartzler, 530 North Avenue. Most of you heard my spiel last meeting. I just wanted to say thank you to the mayor and Trish. After the meeting, I wrote a really long email, voiced my concerns more in depth than into everybody in council. Those two reached out. We had a meeting to discuss some of the grievances. Some of it is being handled. It still needs followed up on, but there's a lot of ideas. I think both sides learned from us talking in a more calm manner. So I just wanted to say thank you too. I do have other things I want to bring up, but we'll save that since I can't bring it up publicly. That's all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne, and like I said, in the meeting was very positive, and I do apologize, with the email situation. So I did say it the last time, and I apologize publicly again on the misunderstanding, but I think we got a lot accomplished that night.
And
It's a
Mayor
work in
Dave,
process.
you have an update on Leanne's suggestion for public engagement training tonight?
Yes.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Sylvia Shara. I live at 759 Second Street here in Verona. I would like to bring a situation of concern to council's attention in hopes that we consider making changes for the betterment of the community. There's a dangerous traffic situation that needs to be addressed. That is the get-go area, allowing customers to make a left and turn out of that parking lot on the Allegheny River Boulevard. I was involved in a car accident several weeks ago regarding this situation. There is a sign stating no left turn, but it's restricted. It's only restricted between 7 and 9 a.m. So allowing left turns out of there other times of the day, which I wasn't aware of because I thought the old sign said no left turn anytime. But anyway, there are 3 lanes of traffic there. I was traveling south from the Vida. Coming into Verona, I was in the far left lane, headed toward the light. The traffic within all lanes were stopped due to a red light, thank God. The driver exiting the get-go parking lot worked their way between the lanes of traffic, which I couldn't see. And while the traffic was stopped at the light, proceeded to make a left as I was coming down the bottom. I couldn't see her between the cars. She couldn't see me. And she hit my back wheel, bent it, my back end of my vehicle, possibly a lot of damage. Luckily, nobody got hurt, so she T-boned me. And thank God there was no oncoming traffic because when she hit my rear end, my car started to swerve and I was luckily able to get it out of that swerve and not hit anyone else. Let's see, so there was significant damage to my vehicle. I was totally taken by surprise. I was already past her, didn't see her at all, and quite shaken up. And this happened about 3:45 in the afternoon. Traffic starts to get heavy again, that time at 5 o'clock. So I understand get-go, and I took this up with the policeman, and he said it's a private property and it's up to them. But I also feel, as council, we have to protect the citizens somewhat, and correct situations that are dangerous. So I also have copies of a diagram, if you wanted to look at it, to see how the cars collided. And I was just wondering if the council can do or is able to do anything concerning this matter.
We love your diagrams, and what would you like to see, Dan?
I would like to see that there would be no left turn over there
You'll let me.
at all, because I really feel it's a dangerous situation.
Maybe Matt, maybe we can have our engineer discuss that.
Here it is. There's 3 here.
Sure, we can.
My husband can report it. But anyway, luckily, nobody was hurt. And like I said, I could have easily, because there was many cars waiting at the light, I could have easily hit other vehicles as well. So I would appreciate something to be done to protect other citizens from this happening.
Our engineer, I think, has a,
Yeah, what we can do is contact PennDOT with Allegheny River Boulevard being a state road. That driveway is permitted between the state and get-go. So we can't just go out and change any signs or enforce anything. We would have to get PennDOT's involvement on that. But I can certainly get a copy of the police report and use that when we contact the state to try to push them in a certain direction. So for right now, what we can do is reach out to the state and start the conversation. But ultimately, it's going to be up to them as to what they enforce on get-go.
Also, maybe I never paid attention to the sign that said restricted only between 7 and 9. Do you know if it was always that way or that had changed?
I can speak. When the old get-go was there, it was no left turn at all out of the boulevard. You had to go down to 7th Avenue, go to the light. It was all day.
That's what I thought. I mean, I wasn't quite sure.
And I thought that it was because you're making a left through 3 lanes of traffic. So
Exactly.
that might be a question to have with PennDOT.
Yeah.
Maybe they changed that rule, but I remember you weren't allowed to make a left through 3 lanes of traffic.
I have a
Back
copy
in
of
the
the,
80s.
I have a copy of the land development as well. I can double check what's on the plans.
Hey, Chief. Gary. I was always of the understanding that you're not allowed to cross over a solid double yellow line. And that's why when you get to intersections, they break that yellow line up. So if you're crossing over a solid yellow line, you're violating the law. That not true?
I remember the accident, that was my call, yes, she crossed 3 lanes of traffic, she's getting a charge. The accident, I still have.
Because I witnessed the exact same thing maybe a week ago where I was coming down from Oakmont and there was a car in front of me. That car went over into the turning lane there and somebody came out from get-go and took off the side of the car.
Well, that's what happened to me. Maybe that was me. I don't know. But anyway, I appreciate whatever.
Yeah, we'll reach out to PennDOT
I have
and
one
start
more
that
question,
conversation.
who would be addressed to. We recently replaced our sidewalk in front of our building on Second. I'm on the corner of Second and Center. And we were told that it was possibly going to be scheduled for that sidewalk on the corner to be redone for ADA because it was never done. So does anybody know if that's scheduled to be done this spring? They said maybe fall, which didn't happen, so I'm looking for spring.
We don't have any right now.
So it's
Yeah,
part of the park
multimodal.
connectivity, the multimodal. So the survey's not completed yet on that, but if it would involve that corner, anything we touch would be put back the way it is, if not better. So it would be no cost to you or anything like that.
But you don't know if it's scheduled or.
No, we're still collecting the field data and determining the final route. So the actual work itself is not scheduled yet.
Okay, all right, thank you.
thank you. We're glad nobody was seriously hurt.
Yeah,
I think if that sign says, no, but turn between 7 and 9, whatever it says, I would get violates the law. You're not allowed to turn left there.
Well, I think Sarge said the woman's getting cited for it.
I understand she's getting cited, but I think that what Gecko needs to know if that's their sign, that it's, that's.
Like he's the illegal sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might be an illegal sign. And we'll also, when I mentioned it to PennDOT, and it would have to be a negotiation with Gitco, but there could be like one of those concrete islands placed that forces you right in, right out only.
Those always work.
They work better than.
They do.
But that's not something that we can force Gitco, but we could have a
Right.
conversation.
Well, they're going through a change of ownership and everything too, right? They're getting a Circle K or something. So,
I'll pull the
All right.
land development and I'll talk with PennDOT.
very good, thanks, man.
I'm Gary Sherrill, Sylvia's wife, I'm husband. I just wanted to say also about the sidewalk situation, is that the sidewalk has been lifted. And this is the reason why we was concerned, and when we had our sidewalk replaced in the front, and we talked to you guys back then, that when that was gonna be done, and they said the fall or come the spring. Okay, but it's lifted about like, much, and I just don't wanna have any incident that, somebody to fall.
You mean your new sidewalk?
Yeah.
Well, no, well, the old sidewalk, see, I was gonna replace all that, and then I found out we're gonna put the ADA curbs in. And I talked with somebody, they say, well, they take one square to the left, one square to the right, there'd be up on Center, then one on Second Avenue, so I left those two blocks alone. So, because those are be putting it in, you're gonna tear it out and do it again.
Sure.
So this is the reason why our concern, because it is lifted and I don't wanna have any incident. So that's why I was hoping that, these things would be scheduled so
Well,
that.
there's nothing on the schedule, as the engineer says, right now. They're working on the trails grant that, so nobody seems to know when it's gonna be done.
We're still collecting the survey data, so.
Well, I just wanted to throw that in there just so that you know what our concern is on it as well. And, my wife didn't quite understand that part of it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Sorry, I forgot why I left here. I have a form here that needs to be handed to member council in Richmond. Can I hand it?
Yeah.
There you go, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Nobody virtual?
Somebody is Suzanne?
Nothing virtual?
No, isn't that a hand?
That's her.
Cursor. She moved
Oh.
the cursor.
Okay, we're gonna go to commission comments from advisory boards and commissions. As I read earlier, we're in the process of trying to come up with a public comment policy. We're in the process of putting some things together. And, I just wanted to mention that, and that's when Trish gave me this today to read, ask me to read. Next up would be the mayor.
Yes, I see in the audience, we have the honorable mayor from Penn Hills, Pauline Calabrese.
Molly, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, I have a couple of things. Just an update. It was brought up last meeting about 408 Selden Avenue. The code enforcement, go look at that.
Code enforcement can't go into a building. We have the information, Pat has it, I have it. Currently, as we understand it, it's empty.
I'm not doubting you, but there was people in it today.
Unfortunately, Mayor, code enforcement is not allowed to knock on a door and ask somebody who's in there. So if you'd like to send the police officers, you could do that. We, unfortunately, code cannot.
The update on the civil service training, have you gone yet?
We're finishing it up. Nancy's been doing it too.
Yeah, can I comment on
She
that?
can comment on it better than I can.
I haven't completed a lot of information, but I will just say that, thank you for sending me that stuff. It is very interesting. A lot of things that I was not aware of. It's available to anybody, not just police. So, where, I can't even remember where I got the link from, but from Stephanie. I was thinking about the other job. And, I just would highly recommend, in all your spare time, that people try to take a look at that because, it's very eye-opening. A lot of information on there about civil service that I did not know about.
Could we send that link to, excuse me, can we send that link to, Mary Sheridan, the head of, civil service?
She is not a member of PSAB, so I have to figure out how to make that work.
Oh, I can figure it out if I
You
can.
can, yeah, because the only way I know how to do it is to give you my code.
No, that other thing underneath where it says watchboroughs.org. Anybody
Yeah, I'll do
can click on that and then put manager veronaborough.org and the thing is right there. Or, you know.
I can send it to her.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. One more thing, like Leanne said, we had a meeting, and it was a very good, meeting, and, I brought up, send the officers to a public engagement training. And which I did, 2 of them already, it's a 6-hour course, 2 of them have already got their certificates. It's community policing, building trust and efficiency. And there's many more on there that I'm going to review. I think, any type of schooling, especially that it's free, dealing with the public, I think, the officers need to go to different trainings. But it's a positive thing that we're moving forward with. And thank you, Leanne, for bringing that to my attention last meeting.
It's appreciated.
That's all I have at this time.
Thanks, Dave. Borough Manager, Stephanie?
Chris Field, Matt and I went out in the middle of freezing cold last Tuesday and stood at Chris Field and received a bid from Sports and Recreation Associates to renovate both baseball infields. Last year, RAA received bids in the area of $22,000 to redo the field. We just received a bid from Sports and Rec Associates for $13,500, doing the exact same thing, and they're currently working in Cribs Field. The big thing is what we realized when we were standing out there, the field is extraordinarily wet. And it's gonna be a while before the fields can be fixed, just because of how damp they are. So,
be that way until about.
yeah, so we're asking everybody to be patient, but it kind of is, we watch trucks get pushed out with other machinery because they got stuck in the mud. It was so bad. So just so everybody knows, we're working on it. LGA, currently in the process of doing interviews on prospective applicants. I will say we were at CMU last Wednesday, and the best part about being there was Josie came to see me. So I just wanted to see Josie. You received the bid from Milt's Great Lawn. It's the same cost, same service as it was last year. Text My Gov will be starting March 3rd. We will be publishing information on how the new service will work starting next week. The nice thing about it is if you supply your address, you can actually get certain texts just in your area. So if the water gets shut off, it doesn't have to go out to everybody. It would only go out to the area that's affected.
I have a question. Does everybody have to re-sign up or are you gonna be able to populate?
They populated it, but the difference is the current system only took phone numbers. So you can leave it that way, but that means you get everything. If you populate it with your address, you get more, if the water main break or something like that, you'll get a more specified.
Was Curtis notified of this change?
Yes. Curtis was notified, actually helped us populate the list.
Very good, thank you.
How do people sign up with your system?
There will be
Code?
No, there will be stuff on the website, but there's also a press release that'll be going out. There's QR codes, there'll be stuff on the, online.
I'll put something on.
And- yeah,
What information you put on there, I'll get it.
I'll get it out for you. And that will be,
Curtis's stuff still on there.
yeah, it won't be until, next week. And currently, our current tech service is down. We're finished. So I had a meeting yesterday, and so this is just a start of a conversation that will have to go into workshop. Lower Valley Ambulance Service has asked if you would be willing to house an ambulance on site 7 days a week from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Terry and I met yesterday to discuss space options. Matt, we're probably gonna need your help to figure that out. But I think it would be great to have the ambulance right here in Verona. The reason it won't be here overnight is it just doesn't run its services as it needed, but they're definitely needed from 7:30 to 10:30. So we'd be here 7 days a week.
For those that don't know, we did that with Guardian Angel years ago when they were in town.
That was my question, so Verona would act like a substation.
Yeah, we'd be a substation.
Yeah, we did do that with Guardian Angel in 2 different locations, I believe, right? One
Where?
down by the salt pile.
Yeah, the old borough garage.
Originally it was by Reese's Automotive.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
We've looked at the third garage of DPW. The problem with that is it has no heat. So it's no wood. And then we also looked at one of the garages at Arch, but with the grant being written for Arch Street, that could cause some issues. So again, Matt, if you and I could sit down and discuss that. Stamp grant update. I checked with Mr. Newsome. We do not need to create a resolution of any sort until a decision is made on what items we will be pursuing through the grant. So we really need to get on that because the next grant cycle is in June. So, but I did want to give you that update.
But we had, so is it just grants? Because you mentioned some things that were on our punch list before that aren't in that grant, for example. So,
We didn't look at the MAP grant because of the match.
yeah,
We looked at their other grants where the match was much less, where we can get the 10%
yes.
and we can still do the same thing.
With before the comp, and all that.
If you remember, I gave you guys the list of
Yeah.
like the 7 things that, we could look at writing grants. So there was low hanging fruit and then the big fruit.
Yeah.
So the comp plan, and all that could be in there, and at the same time, so could the cameras for parks and the security for our building and stuff like that.
Okay, so as far as next steps,
Next steps is, us making a decision if those are the things we want to focus on, so
okay,
that I can write the grant.
workshop.
You also, strategic planning, if you guys want to look at it.
Yeah, well. Thank you.
You're welcome, that's all I have.
Tim, I was just asked if you could turn your briefcase or to put it on, Zoom can't see you. Thank you. That's it, Steph?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Next up, code enforcement.
You have the report, in front of you. If you have any questions, let me know.
Okay. Next up, police chief's report.
Yeah, complaints received 164, total crimes reported 25. Total crimes cleared 23, total persons arrested 9. Crime code summary issued 4, vehicle code summary issued 4, borough code summary issued 27. Borough parking tickets 17, magistrate fines collected $353.74. Borough fines and fees collected $185, police reports 15. Municipal fines, $68.44. Total fines and fees collected, $622.18. Parking permit fees, $660.
Thank you. Next up would be the EMS report.
All right, can I say something?
Yeah.
Can I ask everybody on Zoom to turn on their camera, please? I can't see any of their faces either. And that was our policy originally. If you're on Zoom, you should show your video. And have your full name typed, first name and last name. No initials, no nicknames.
How is that helpful?
Yeah, well, as far as the name goes, I mean, there's people in the audience, they don't come in and give their name unless they speak.
That was the policy that was recommended when we researched.
This is the policy.
Because that doesn't pop up when you go on a meeting.
What?
Nothing pops up that says you have to be on camera or have your name on there.
There's a
So
lot
if
of,
that's a policy, then that needs to be
there
there.
was a lot of Zoom bombing and stuff like that. Then people would put fake names up there and then they would put pornographic images and stuff on there and loop them in and make all kinds of.
Oh, I understand. It makes sense, but it's not on there. So I don't see how making everybody do it right now is doing anything helpful.
Well, I'm just saying we can't single out certain council members, like we said at the beginning of this meeting, and there's 2 council members on Zoom that are currently not showing their face. And somebody just pointed out that Tim's briefcase was not showing his face, so that should fall for all council members. We have 2 council members on Zoom that are not showing their face.
Okay, but you said everybody.
It should be everybody.
Yes, we did draft a policy that we haven't been enforcing, but it would be lovely to see Sylvia and John's faces if you're able. I know you're not feeling well.
I just don't think it's fair to call out one council member out of.
My picture is on my profile there. That doesn't suffice?
Vince is saying he wants to see you smiling, John.
All
So we have
right.
to be fair.
Okay, well, here you go.
To reintroduce it, we have to put something on the website, we have to do that.
Anybody fires. Skip the name.
I'm sorry, mine wasn't on. For some reason, it just kicked on now, so I apologize.
Problem, Sylvia, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, Fire Chief's report, D&T. Hey, Danny.
The fire company answered a total of 16 calls in the month of January, starting on 1/1, a residential structure fire at 10 Michigan Road in Penn Hills for a 2-family dwelling fire. 1/3, possible structure fire at 2698 Robinson Boulevard in Penn Hills, food. 1/9, a vehicle accident, 825 2nd Street in Verona for a vehicle accident with no injuries. 110, a possible gas leak at 483 Poplar Street in Verona. It was an odor of gas company notified, nothing found. 110, a vehicle accident at Wood Street and 2nd Street in Verona. Accident with no injuries. 112, assist EMS at 730 Heron Avenue in Verona with patient extrication. 113, a residential fire alarm at 741 15th Street, Oakmont, false alarm. 113, smoke in a commercial structure at 333 Allegheny Avenue, Oakmont. Smoke from a faulty HVAC blower. 115, odor of smoke at 200 Fairview Avenue in Verona from a faulty light fixture. 116, a residential structure fire at 306 Buell Road in Penn Hills for a single-family household fire. 117, the natural gas leak at 462 South Avenue in Verona. Gas leak outside of the structure. 121, an odor of smoke at 6747 Sylvan Street in Penn Hills. Nothing found. 122, water condition at 405 North Avenue in Verona for a ruptured water pipe. 128, water condition at 1011 Center Avenue in Penn Hills, ruptured water pipe. 129, an illegal burn at 9215 Valentine Street in Penn Hills. 131, smoke in a residential structure at 5514 Moore Avenue in Penn Hills, smoke from a faulty glow under the flame. On behalf of the fire company, I would like to thank the council for allowing us to use the vacant property on First Street for our certification training and rapid intervention. It was a successful class, and if permissible, we would ask that we can continue to use it to further our training on our field that we hire utility officers.
I don't have a problem with it.
No.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Anybody have anything for Danny?
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Dan, just give me after the meeting. Sure.
Next up, EMS report.
A copy of the EMS report is included within your report. They treated and transported 18 ALSs or advanced life, and they transported 16 ELSs or basic life.
Thanks, Phil. Next up, the solicitor's report, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did submit a written report. One thing I noticed in reviewing it, under item number 7, I improperly referenced 500 James Street, when I should have referenced 500 Jones Street. So that was my error. And we will need an executive session immediately following this evening's meeting. Will we need to come back in?
No.
So we will adjourn into executive session immediately following this evening's meeting to speak about legal and personnel matters. That's all I have to report.
You announced that last meeting. Yes.
Yeah.
I think we announced that last meeting.
Yeah, we did.
Those who suspended a break, you never get to know.
Next up, the engineer's report, Mr. Pitch.
Thank you, Mr. President. I submitted my written report, just a few quick updates. If you saw the work going on at Chris Field this week, they started putting the fitness equipment in. I drove by this afternoon, looked like it's probably about 80% complete. He will be back to touch up the ruts when he's done. Depending on the timing, he might coincide that with the infield work, so that will be going on. The seating 49 sanitary sewer line, that's all done. That was over in the Ridge and North Avenue area. So I'll be working with the COG to close out that project. As Dan mentioned with the demos, we did receive the notice of receipt from the county, but we don't have a bid schedule from the COG yet. So those structures will probably still be standing probably well until August, September timeframe. But as I know more, I'll let you know as well.
Thank you.
Sorry, the PA small water and sewer grant that we already have for additional sanitary lining along Center Street or Center Avenue. Right now I have that tentatively scheduled to open March 28th. So that will be moving forward. And then the GEDTF grant for some of the road reconstructions. All the plans and specs are done, and I'm working with the COG to get that advertised.
Did you get the report on the oversized truck coming in, load coming in?
Yes, I spoke with the sergeant before the meeting. We tried calling the individual, he didn't answer, so I'm gonna follow up with him. Based off the information we have, we think that probably only the intersection of Center will have to be closed to help him make the turn. And then we might have to post some no parking on Center, but once he makes it on East Railroad, it's a straight shot.
What I was figuring, also with the street department, the blocks south, Grant and James Street off. Until this way, he has a straight shot going down.
Yeah.
And Jones Street there, so the cars don't come up this way. He can just keep going straight through.
Do we need a guaranteed time when that's gonna happen?
Pretty much.
Well, that's what I figured when we talked to him. We can get his driver's information. I want to first confirm that the southbound on ARB is correct. It's as we were discussing, like we highly doubt it's coming down Plum Street. So how is it making it through Oakmont and crossing the tracks. So we wanted to make sure that information was accurate. So I'll work with DPW and the police to make sure we have a plan.
All right, thank
What's
you.
this for?
And that's on Wednesday, February 19th.
Correct. Avalos is getting a rather large delivery for powder coating. The trailer is going to be about 120 feet long. So
Yeah,
it's going to be really wide turns, but he only needs to turn off ARB on the center and then on the East Railroad, and then he's going straight into Avalos. So not too hard, but we just need to coordinate.
Yeah, yeah. Very good. And that's paving projects that you did talk about. Well, do you think they'll be started in the spring?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm pushing the cog for an advertisement. He's trying to partner a couple other projects around the cog together, so it's cheaper of an advertisement.
Right.
But I would hope that it's to the paper within the next couple of weeks here.
And that's the third street, Third Avenue Athletic Vogels.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, the one that was carried.
The
over
original.
last year. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, on the note, could we possibly do Third Street first? Because, they were told it was supposed to be done in the fall, but then we took it on and something with the grant and we're doing it now.
It's the same grant. We just ran out of time for asphalt last year, so it will be done as part of that project.
All right, thank you.
Third Street, the extension alley,
Vogels.
Vogels.
Right.
So yeah, it's all part of the project.
Very good, thank you. That it, Matt?
That's it.
Thank you. Next up, we have council member remarks. Trish Redzak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. On my agenda tonight, I have two items that I normally would have put on the workshop agenda item, but we wanted to have our staff, mainly our solicitor, weigh in on how these two proposals that came out of our STMP, or Strategic Management Program report, could work. So the first, particularly on the second one, the first of the two recommendations, I know not everyone has seen the STMP report, but Stephanie did make it available on our website for anyone who wants to access. But one of the first two recommendations I want to bring up tonight is the recommendation to consider what's known as a super committee structure for council committees. So currently, each of us chairs a committee, and we sit on two other committees for a total of three, with the exception of our president. And so this proposal is to modify that so that you still have responsibilities, but you tackle them more as a team approach during the workshop meetings. So specifically, it spells out in the STMP report, the borough currently operates under a familiar structure where council members assume responsibility for various areas within the borough, work to get volunteers on their committees from the community, and then report back to the borough council the action of the committees. This is a difficult structure to maintain. The borough is small enough that council should consider the super committee structure, where at one meeting per month, which would likely be our workshop meeting, the work of the council is to discuss and work through issues as a whole. Individual council members are free to engage with contractors and the public on their own, but open discussions are held during council meeting time on the topics. No votes are taken at this meeting. Ideas are just workshopped and plans discussed. So again, we can discuss this one more at workshop, but I just wanted to bring these two things up. This is the first two. Does anyone have any thoughts they'd like to share tonight on that idea?
Be a good thing.
I think it would be more efficient and less time consuming than our current structure.
Less meetings for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I feel like.
You want more meetings?
I've been advocating for this for years.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we can again discuss in more detail workshop, but I just wanted to mention that one. The second one, which I welcome my solicitor to weigh in on, is the recommendation to reduce the size of council from 7 members as it is currently to 5. From the STMP report, the borough is small and is becoming more difficult to find volunteers to take on the role of council members. The council is currently fully seated, but there have been active turnover in council and it is more difficult to find residents interested in running for these open seats. The PA legislator recently passed legislation that allows for the boroughs to reduce their size as a result of this growing trend. While the legislation allows for the number to go as low as 3, this size council is equally problematic to obtain quorums. 5 is the optimal number and should be considered to be pursued for Verona. My own research has also led me to conclude that this might be more effective. It also may allow for improved accountability and transparency because there's less council members, each member's role would be more clearly defined, and members of the public would be clear on who to go to for different issues. It might be better aligned with the size of our community and our demographic, and could potentially also be cost effective as well. So I know there's like a couple different routes we could pursue this if we wish. So I guess my first question is, what does council think about that? How would we go about such a change?
Yes, me. The borough code sets forth a process where you have to get a certain number of registered electors to sign a petition to reduce the size of council from 7 to either 5 or to 3 members. And if you get the sufficient number of signatures on the petition, then you file an action in court, and a judge will certify that question to a referendum at the next general election. And then it goes to the voters.
So that's something that council initiates?
That's something that the people initiate. I believe that there's one that council can initiate, and I don't have that section of the borough code. It doesn't pop right up.
Is there a particular petition form, like when you're running for council, there's a form?
The code doesn't identify a special form, it just says upon petition of however many members of the electorate. So I don't know if the form set. Not significant.
So for specificity for this year, which is an election year, for local governments, is it still, if we decided we wanted to do that, or people in the public decided they wanted to do that?
The time frame is pretty tight. I mean, I think that you would want to study it, not jump into it right away. I can tell you this, I represent a lot of boroughs and a lot of communities. Most of them are 7 members. One of them 6 members, and I can't figure out how they only got 6 members. Something happened along the way where the vacancy was created and just never filled, is what I guess happened. 2 of them are 5 members. But one's a second-class township, and one's a home rule charter municipality.
Can I, so that's Penn Hills, right?
Right.
And they have all those people and only 5 people on council. It's amazing.
They want to, they're talking, and the mayor happens to be here, Mayor Colin Calabrese. There have been discussions about trying to get a referendum on to increase the number of councilmen up there. It's all the preference of the community. I have one community that only has 3 second-class township supervisors. Generally have smaller number of supervisors because they're traditionally rural in nature, and they can actually appoint themselves as roadmasters and pay themselves a salary. But when you have only a 3-member board, it's just mass chaos because there's a flipper in there, and it's chaos. But 5 or 7 is a good number. You guys decide, and we'll figure out how to get it done if the majority wants to do that.
So question now, the other one that's 5, other than Penn Hills, what do you know the
That's Farmer
population?
Township.
What's that?
That's Farmer Township.
Oh, so what's their population approximately?
Don't know.
Similar to us, 2,400?
The last census, there was about 3,400.
Oh, 3,400? Okay.
3,136.
Okay, so I'm thinking if we had the smaller structure, it might make the super committee thing work better because there would be 5 instead of 7, and that would fit together. But I don't know that much about it, like say more discussion maybe warranted. So it's tight for this time, you're saying. Can we do it in an even year, or do we have to only do it when it's local government voting for local government people? You know what I'm saying?
The code, let me show the word the code uses.
Because if it's something people are interested in, but it comes from the public, not necessarily from council.
I think we're putting the cart before the horse.
It says municipal election, so municipal election, this is the municipal election year,
Yeah,
then there won't be another one for 2 more years,
so
or
if
every
we
2
didn't
years.
do it this year, we'd have to wait till 2027 and go through all the thing with the courts and the making the referendum and everything, yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think that we're putting the cart in front of the horse again, because we're looking for problems that don't exist yet. In the last 3 elections, every spot has been filled. Some were filled twice. Nancy had to give up a spot. Like, we've had 3 spots in the last election, 4 people ran. That election before that, we had 4 spots, 6 people ran. It's my understanding from the study that was done was we would think about moving to a 5-person council if we had lack of interest for people running for the position, but we've had more than the amount of spots open running. So I don't think it's an issue yet. I think we're worried about something that doesn't exist. That's just my opinion. It's up to the like Greg said, it's up to the people of the town, and more than once, you gotta get a petition filled out, and then you gotta go and pass a vote on the ballot. And then we have to look at, is this gonna cost, and what it's gonna cost to get stuff on as a referendum and to get all the legal stuff done.
That's another thing, who pays that?
Yeah.
That's
The
not,
people who wanna,
that's why I think we need to do a lot more investigating before we just start talking about trying to hurry up and get it on the ballot this year, because it could cost us money, it could cost us potential volunteers.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting this year necessarily. Craig, is there a cost? Like, how would the cost be?
Well, if the borough's initiating, the borough would be responsible for whatever the costs to file the petition are.
Oh.
And I don't think that there's a subsequent cost to put on a referendum. I don't know that. I'll contact the elections department and find that out and bring an answer back to mayor and council.
I also like to play devil's advocate with, I somewhat disagree with what Nancy said about the super committees.
Mhm.
If, let's say, hypothetically speaking, we dropped to 5 members. How many committees do we have right now?
6.
We're still gonna have that amount of committees being handled by 2 less people. So it's gonna increase the workload on council members instead of decrease it. So instead of you chairing one committee and being on 2 other ones, you're gonna chair 2 committees and be on another one, so there's 5 people.
About how the super committees.
Well, you would still be during workshop, if you're in charge of that committee, you're the person who's leading that part of workshop. That's what we just discussed, right?
No, I could see it going both ways. I could see some stuff being more streamlined, some stuff being consolidated maybe, but my goal is that we went through a lot of the fires that we've been working through the past couple of years, that it's maybe less work overall. Is that too optimistic? Too optimistic.
Yes. I feel that with less council members with the same amount of committees, it's just more work for council members. And that in turn is not going to make people want to be on council. It's like, hey, we got more work for you than we had 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see where you're coming from, because that was my first thought too. But then if I'm not really 100% sure how this super committee structure works, and I would need to know more about that. You know, if 5 people, like, be more of a council of 1, and then all 5 are doing all things and just meeting themselves together on one night for, I don't know, longer period of time, but then you don't have to come to 2 or 3 other meetings.
Right.
I guess is the idea, but that's a very vague understanding that I have, so.
So you do still like the super committee idea, just not. Okay.
And I think the super committee is a little more transparent
Sure.
because how many people come to council meetings and workshop meetings as opposed to committee meetings? I had a committee meeting last night. I had one member of the public. I think that might have been right. But if we did committee work and workshops, we would have more public involvement.
Yeah, sure. Other thoughts? John or Sylvia?
Pardon me? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Do you have any thoughts on this topic, Sylvia?
I feel that if it's not broken, why are we trying to fix it? I think 7 is a good number. It gives everybody an opportunity to express how they feel and how things should be done. I don't see any problem with keeping 7 people on board. And it gives more people a chance to even have the opportunity to try for that position. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvia.
As far
Yes,
as far as I'm concerned, that's really up to the residents of Verona to decide. You know, I think it's hard to find candidates to run for council as it is. You know, worth taking a look at. I don't know if that's really going to be the answer or not. At least it warrants further examination, at least. But you know, yes, I mean, I think we're okay right now, but it might be worth researching further. That's all I'm saying. As far as the super committee structure, if it means, you know, less work for you know, everyone involved and you know, and it gives an opportunity for the public to be more engaged in the business of the borough and to take a more active role in the decision making. Why the hell not? You know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that would be worth something to look at as well.
I don't think it's less work as much as the less time that would be involved. You know, you still got all the work to do. You know, it's just everybody's together gonna do, you know, one meeting a month, you know.
Right.
That's one of the, you know, still the same amount of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, yes. The time aspect. Right.
Right. Very good. Anybody else have anything on super committee to reduce any time? Anything else, Trish?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Trish. Next up would be Dr. Carpenter.
Thank you. Mr. Sedgwick, yes. So what I have here is update on public safety initiatives, which basically is just updating on anything that I reported at the last meeting. There isn't a whole lot to update. One is that the CPR class is still scheduled for March 22nd, and we currently have 15 registrations. I think the cutoff is a couple of weeks before that date if you want to register. And they can take up to 50, so we've got plenty of room. In terms of, I had mentioned something about some grants for police that I had come across, and I did some further research and found out that the particular grant I was looking at from PCCD, which is Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, that money has all been distributed, and hopefully that will be open again sometime in the summer for applying for that. There may be other grants out there. I'm not currently aware of exactly which ones they are. Our esteemed fire chief is taking care of fire vests and all of that, and that will become more and more important as the spring right, the graduation and everything with the kids. In terms of the mirrors, which is item B under my agenda. There was a request about a mirror at Center and Heron, and I guess Stephanie, that's already been ordered. It's not been installed, but it's been ordered. The new one, yes. And apparently the one at Ridge has been installed.
Yep, they're installed, both of them are up.
Pardon me?
Both of them are up.
Oh, the one at Second is up too. Great. So that's done. That's been taken care of. And we have lots of goals and objectives, and I will get them to you and Ray, Trish and Ray as soon as possible. My next public safety meeting is going to be on Tuesday, February 18th at 5:30. And it'll be both on Zoom and in person for anybody who would like to join and discuss anything about public safety. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. Next up would be Mr. Floda.
Yes, we had meetings last night, so I have a few things to speak about. In our Parks and Property Committee meeting, that was at 5:30 yesterday, we set a River Park cleanup date for May 3rd to have Parks and Recreation Board go to Riverbank Park and do a preliminary litter and garbage extraction. And later on in the summer, we're going to talk to Friends of the Riverfront. They're going to come and do an in-depth cleanup, possibly with some boats to get some of the old shopping carts, bikes and stuff that are along the riverbank. We just finalized that last night. I'm in touch with the litter getters because that is one of their first spring cleanup dates.
Yes.
We also discussed in our committee meeting that we are going to be looking at the vacant lot fee schedule and enforcement. And we are going to need to probably have a meeting with you, Stephanie, you, Craig, to discuss how to amend that, whether it's through resolution or
Fee schedule, since it's already written into the current fee schedule, we have that written in the resolution.
The issue is the wording of the vacant lot. It's for lots that have structures on it. And we want to amend it to include lots that have had their structures demolished or taken down.
You're changing the ordinance, you're not changing what you see.
We want to see if we can add to it to include lots that don't have structures on it also.
Vacant lot.
Yeah. It's labeled vacant lot, but it just in the code, it states
That there's a
that
structure.
there's a structure on the vacant lot. That's why we have to sit down.
We'll get together and go over it.
Because I think it has to encompass both, because if not, like we can find somebody or fee somebody for having a dilapidated condemned building that's been vacant for years, but if that building gets demolished and it's just an empty piece of grass that they're not cutting the grass and they're not, and we're having to send
That's
EPC.
Together and figure it out.
That's all we had for the Parks and Property Committee. Parks and Recreation Board voted on their officers last night. Do you want to jot this down, Stephanie, or do you want me to give you a list after?
Go ahead.
President is Vince Floda. Vice President is Mike Knuckles. Secretary is Brian Duncan. And the treasurer is Jason Albert. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Vince. Next up would be Mr. Long. Very good, thank you, Tim. Next up would be Johnny Jamelis. Mr. Jamelis.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'm sorry I couldn't be down there tonight. I've been ravaged by a cold here the last couple of days, and So decided to join in on Zoom. Anyhow, so we're underway with some police candidates. We're interviewing. We had an interview last week. We're interviewing another gentleman tomorrow, and I know we've got a couple in the pipeline here. So just wanted to update everyone on that. We have a personnel committee meeting coming up on the 19th at 6 p.m. Our HR consultant will be there. So we are hopefully going to be done with the first phase of our HR project here in the first quarter. And that would be, we're going to have the employee handbook hopefully finished, a structure on performance reviews, disciplinary procedures, and time off policies. So we're hoping to get all that stuff done here by the first quarter. You know, our HR consultant is working with Stephanie on that. You know, under our direction here with the personnel committee. So, and she's going to be in attendance in the next personnel committee meeting coming up. The only other item that I have here for tonight would be I wanted to discuss, you know, so as you all know, we had the stamp report several months ago, and under one of the recommendations was that we were to have a under, you know, under, you know, every township, just about every township has, besides a solicitor, they also have a labor attorney that they could dial up if needed on an as needed basis. And so I wanted to bring that up for discussion and possibly have a motion here tonight to move on that. So I wanted to open that up here to the board. See what you all think.
I was asked to express this from our HR consultant. A labor attorney is not going to, one, solve hiring issues, and two, still needs vetted for exactly what is needed. Hiring a labor attorney is not necessary at this time unless you want to make a cause issue with police unions, DPW unions, or employees. Additionally, the cost is over $250 per hour. As discussed, her recommendation is until we sit down and actually use the person we're spending $12,000 this year on, is for any recommendation for Craig and her to handle them. She's happy to help with scheduling, with hiring, reopening contracts and or negotiations, memorandums of understanding, and all legal documents would be reviewed and signed off by a labor attorney, but they don't need to be involved in everything. So that's her suggestion. So I'm just passing that along.
I can agree with that, and I also don't think that we should do any hiring of any other employees until there is a policy on how to communicate with these other entities. Because we already know that there are people that get abused because there's not a policy on how to interact with our employees.
Do you mean, our in-house staff, you mean everybody?
How who would be in charge of contacting the labor lawyers?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. We have a
I know
policy.
certain council members will just go above and beyond and then, no, I'm gonna call this up, and then it's.
We have a policy
I'll call it
regarding-
no, 'cause
Greg and Matt, but we don't have a policy regarding any of our other employees. So we would have to update that policy.
Plus, I agree with HR.
Yeah.
Don't cause trouble. You know, okay.
We did just hire HR. consultant to consult. So I think we should take their advice into serious consideration.
Sure, yeah, maybe I'll be out on a ledge, but, with no disrespect to Tracy, or Craig, who we've talked about this with over the past several months. I definitely feel wholeheartedly the labor attorney is crucial for the borough right now. We've had several key issues that we've, been unsure about what to do with, and labor attorneys specialize in navigating complex issues, much like you would see an oncologist if you had cancer instead of your TCP. We believe a labor attorney would help us to move through staff more quickly and more effectively, and also help us to minimize costs to the borough in the long run by avoiding costly legal disputes, minimizing the amount of time it might take to go and research a particular issue. And also ideally from any costly legal battles. So yes, it is an upfront cost, although I believe there are lower ranking attorneys in the packet than the amount expressed earlier. But in the long run, I believe this is in the best interest of the borough, both financially as well as in terms of getting our house in better order and being more professional, addressing certain issues. The top of my mind is public safety, which I know is also in the top of the public's mind, but I welcome additional comments.
I personally am not ready to vote on hiring a labor lawyer. I think we need to bring someone in to explain this booklet that they sent us, which was nice, but we just got this booklet tonight. And to vote on something that's gonna cost us potentially a lot of money, I can't vote on it tonight. Till we get somebody to come in here and explain what they do. We're all sitting here saying, this is what they do, this is what we want them for, this is what they're gonna do.
Isn't that what we do with day code?
Right, exactly. And I just feel that we're gonna be spending this kind of money, potentially this kind of money. I just think we need to bring somebody in and explain it, explain what they do. Do we hire that company? Do we hire one lawyer out of that company? Do we, all I got tonight was a paper stating that this is our proposal. And I'm not down on the proposal, but I got this at 6:30 tonight.
No
So
disrespect to your comment, but Stephanie did go out of her way to get it to us this weekend.
I understand that, and I appreciate her work.
And we've also been talking about this for several months.
We
now.
have been talking about it, but has anybody come out from the company and sat down? I don't have a problem with researching it, bringing somebody in. But just to read a paper, I'm against it right now.
Yeah, I want to reiterate my stance also. I don't want anybody to think that I'm against labor lawyer. I just have to remind everybody we have a process. The process is when we open the budget, we make budget requests for the following year. Last year, labor lawyer was not put in as a budget request or in the budget. So there's a process. When we open the budget this year, you put in a request for a labor lawyer and then we put it in the budget. So next year, we have the money there. That's how we do things.
You know what, you're right, Vince, we totally missed that process. But I also feel that this is an emergency and time is of the essence.
Here's what I will say as an employee, there's not one of us who's sitting here right now that's not watching this meeting, who's not petrified by the fact that you want to do this. We feel that it's being used against us. I've seen it basically written into a memo that it'll be used against us. And I feel like we're not looking at anything. Yes, I did what you asked. You gave me 3 days notice. I did what you asked with one person. And I didn't talk to anybody else. I'm not sitting here right now saying that I feel extraordinarily comfortable with the fact that all of a sudden this has become the number one thing you want. And as an employee and as the other employees, we're nervous about, we almost feel like everything's an emergency. It's a total emergency right now, right here. We don't do this, and it's petrifying. And I'll be honest with you, there isn't one of us who hasn't thought to ourselves, do we need to get ourselves attorneys? And that's where so balance where you're at right now, because it's been, threats of lawsuits have been used against us. Threats of labor attorneys have now been used against us. We're nervous. And, you just kind of have to ask yourselves, maybe slow down and maybe interview somebody, or maybe explain to us what we have done that's so horrible that we have to have this right now. Because we're not sure, but that's how it feels.
Well, I think when this first was brought up, I can't go into the details, but I believe it was about the insurance. Well, the payout or whatever you want to call it.
Certainly stuff surrounding contracts.
Yeah.
If you want to go with the insurance though, and I understand that concept, but you also have to understand, again, it's happened before, council went around us and went to an insurance agent, asked a question about an issue that made the people mad. So we're having a harder time right now getting the information we're required to get because they feel like we're pushing them.
Well, I mean, we need an answer. I mean, we can't, continue to drag on. We got the full report.
This is not a conversation. I'm just saying that.
And I understand that, but I'm just trying to make a point.
But we did get the information. We got it within the week. Unfortunately, the last piece of information I needed, I didn't get till Friday afternoon. So we're all trying. I'm just saying, if you're gonna do this, please interview them. Please at least make it feel like it's not being shoved upon us. Because right now, that's kind of how we're all feeling. And I want to say it in a public meeting so that everybody understands. We accept accountability. We know we're here to do a job. I was thrown under a bus to do this job 2 weeks ago. We want to be here. We want to help Verona. We're not saying no. What we're saying is, please do more research. That's all we're asking.
So, I'm hearing what everybody's saying, and what was going on in my mind about a labor attorney started back in the fall, late fall, and it was centered around some things that we can't really discuss in a public meeting, which makes it difficult to get into any kind of detail. But never was it in my mind to have a labor attorney to use against any employee of this borough. That's not where I'm coming from. I did go on the Campbell Durant website to try and figure out which attorneys were the associates versus the super associates. I can't think of the right word right now. What's that?
Principals, senior associates.
Senior associates. And then the principal, they call them the stakeholder. So there are 3 associates who would be $195 an hour. And I don't know if we were to do a lump sum retainer.
We don't do retainer.
Well, yeah, so you're right, we don't know that. But what I'm also looking at is, again, some of the stuff that we would have to discuss in an exec session, how the initial outlay of a couple of thousand dollars, let's say it's 200 an hour, and please, Craig, stop me if I'm approaching the line here of what I can and can't talk about. That'd be $2,000 being 10 hours. My math is correct. That I think, given our last exec session discussion, we need someone who has that information right there at the tip of their fingers. And as Trish alluded to, when you go to a doctor and you have a problem with your heart, and it's your PCP. Your PCP can only do so much. And then he's going to refer you to a cardiologist who is specialized in this area. So a labor attorney is specialized in the areas that we were discussing at the last exec session, that maybe we could just get this handled, because the longer that issue goes on, the more it's costing us. And what it's costing us in some of those benefits would offset by what we're spending on a labor attorney. It would break even, because we wouldn't maybe have to pay that money. I can't be any more specific about it, so I know this, may not make total sense, especially to the public. But I think a couple of $1,000 outlay to get things settled quickly with the issues that we're trying to settle would be worth it, because I think in the end it would save us a ton of money. Potentially, instead of us all just trying to think that we know how to resolve the issue when we really don't know. And then, wait, like what you referred to, Trish, waiting for the research and all of that. We don't have to wait. This person, this is their expertise, and they don't have to do research. So I think that in terms of what we're dealing with right now, that it would be good to with some kind of motion so that we can move forward. And
I would disagree.
okay, no, that's fine.
I mean, you guys are making a problem, it's not a problem.
I think no problem, so.
So I do just want to reiterate what Nancy said, that this was never intended to be something that's a gotcha or to harm our staff in any way or make you uneasy. Although, thank you for sharing that. It's, in contrary, I saw this helpful to the staff in order to get things in better order. I did just want to share with the public, I was looking for in the SCMP report where it does make a recommendation for a specialized labor council or specifically police personnel matters. The borough is not immune from the chaos and complexity that personnel matters create. They are difficult to navigate and require special labor counsel that understands the options. The borough is currently working through several issues within the department whose outcome will determine the course of the department. These issues should be addressed by a specialized labor counsel who can provide good advice and actionable steps to take. It is common for communities to have a solicitor for general matters as well as specialized legal services.
I think what's being missed, Trish, nobody's saying you shouldn't do it. What's being missed is it is literally 3 days. I couldn't tell you, I talked to this man for 10 minutes. And again, it was used in a memo today. And really, again, I think if we sat down and maybe explained to everybody what we were doing and why we were doing it, it would probably go around a lot better. But right now, 3 days, we don't know the guy, we've never met him, nobody's ever seen him. And
Right, and the person you're talking to isn't necessarily the person that I would want to go with.
okay,
From the
well
firm.
then you explain to me how we're supposed to figure that out.
With all due respect, Stephanie, it was literally discussed several months ago. I also do want to clarify that I would prefer the associate options, which is not going to be 195, that's going to be 205, because it's not currently part of the PBL RAS. But just for the public's knowledge, Campbell and Durant is the leading expert in the Pittsburgh area on labor issues. For anyone who's at the county, which I think most of us, they are the ones who came and gave specialized support on it. I didn't know if Sylvia or John wanted a chance to weigh in.
Sylvia or John, you want to weigh in on the labor attorney discussion?
Well, just to kind of back up what Nancy was saying earlier. You know, the labor attorney is more of a specialized discipline. You know, they can help us more with, you know, those rabbit holes. with those types of negotiations. So, I mean, for me, I mean, I think it's a good idea. I mean, we need one. You know, that's not to say that, you know, we have a solicitor, we would also have a labor attorney. We would have a full staff in our borough. You know, I think it's a great idea. So, I mean, I'm, you know, I don't know. I don't know what else to say on that one. You know, we've been discussing this for months. It's not like it's a, you know, it's a 1 week surprise. We've been talking about this for a long time here. And you know, and I don't want any borough employee to have the wrong impression that just because we're looking at this that someone's getting targeted or whatever. That's not the case. You know, we are just trying to look out for the best interests of the borough of Verona. And I think this is, you know, the way to go. End of story.
Then we have, yes. Thank you, John.
These comments have been very well taken. John, Nancy, Trish, we're not attorneys. We don't pretend to be. We're not against anyone either. But as the other two people have said, we need to do what is right and what is fair. And when you bring an attorney in, especially a labor attorney, they have the knowledge, they have the know-how to deal with this. We don't. I would feel very badly if I were making wrong decisions because we did not take an attorney. I am very much in favor of hiring a labor attorney. I think this is the avenue that we need to take, and I feel very comfortable about it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else, Trish? Oh, that was Johnny. Anything else, Johnny?
That's it, sir.
Okay. Next up, Mrs. Provenza.
I think I've said it all, but again, I'm going to reiterate. I personally, and I know the rest of the board, we're not against any employee. We respect all of our employees, each and every one. They're all here. We have no reason to disrespect them. We do hold them in high esteem, all of them. Thank you.
You're up again, Mrs. Provenza, for A-Long.
Ray, did you say something to me? I'm sorry, you cut out for a minute.
You're up again for A-Long. You're up again for A-Long.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You cut out. I didn't hear. With ALOM, I did speak with them. They are currently finalizing plans for the Spring Educational Conference, which is going to be April 3rd through the 6th. And that's their kind of main focus right now. That is a big project. And they look forward to seeing Verona Borough there. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you. Call the meetings in 2 weeks. Old business, nothing. Ordinary items, I'll need a motion to accept the minutes from October 8th of 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Long,
A second.
second by Dr. Carpenter. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Next up, I need a motion to accept the bills from January of 2025.
Make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Long,
Second.
second by Mr. Clute. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed. Next up, I need a motion to approve the resolution supporting the goals of the Allegheny River Development Corporation.
Make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Redzak,
Second.
second by Dr. Carpenter. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Next up, I need a motion to approve Milt's Green Lawn Premier Lawn Care for fertilization of the parks in the amount of $3,082.75. Motion by Mr. Long. Second by Mr. Floda. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Passed.
There's a delay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Next up, I need a motion to approve the Sports and Recreation Associates LLC to renovate Cribbs Field at the cost of $13,500. Motion by Mr. Long. Second by Mr. Floda. Are there any questions?
No.
All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Passed. Next up, I need a motion. I'm asking for a motion to hire a labor lawyer.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Redzak. Second by Dr. Clark. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed.
So,
Roll call, please.
Ms. Provenza?
Yes, I agree.
Mr. Floda?
Yeah.
Miss, oh, sorry, President Suchovich,
No.
Trish,
Yes.
Dr. Carpenter,
yes,
Mr. Jamelis,
Yay.
Mr. Long.
No.
Motion passed with 4-3 vote. Thank you. Announcements? Mrs. Provenza?
I'm sorry, you cut out. Try it again, Ray.
Announcements?
Okay. Newsletter. We're currently working on the summer issue, which will be due on Thursday, May 1st. And this issue will cover June, July, and August. And for articles, Donald Wharf can be contacted at 412-828-3607 or at veronanewsroom@gmail.com. And for ads, I can be reached at 412-828-7726. Chamber of Commerce, the next meeting will be held on Tuesday. I have the wrong date. Oh, excuse me. It will be on Tuesday, February the 18th, excuse me, at the Borough Building at 7 p.m. And new members are always welcome. Twinborough Ministries, the dinner will be held Wednesday, February 26th from 4:30 to 6:30 at our Methodist Church. Historical Society, the meeting will be held on Thursday, February 20th, and it will be by film. And the film is entitled The North Side Story, and it will be narrated by Rick Seaback from the Historical Society in Pittsburgh. And this meeting is at 7 p.m. in the Borough Building, and all are welcome. And that concludes my reports. If there's any other comments, I'll be glad to take them. And if not, this is my final report for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Provenza.
Yes,
This time we'll go to comments from the public.
Mayor, you have anything?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to tell you, thank you so very much for welcoming me. This week is the last week that Chris Blackwell will be with us. Those of you know Chris, he is the Director of Planning. You're certainly welcome to come to our meeting next Monday if you would like. He's going to be honored by the former County Executive Richard Fitzgerald. It's a very important honor. But I do want to thank you. And part of the reason I'm here is because as we lose Chris, we're losing really institutional knowledge and so much. So I'm here to learn. And if you don't mind, I'll come again. I am learning an awful lot She had a lot to tell me, and we're neighbors and we're happy to help in any way that we can. Thank you so much for welcoming.
Thank you, Mayor. You're welcome all the time.
Thank you, Mayor.
And at the end of the meeting, the pews, we passed the basket, so.
No virtuals. This time I'll take a motion to adjourn to exec session and we don't have to come back. Mr. Long, second by Mrs. Provenza. All, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Thank you for coming to the meeting and
No.
be safe going home.
Yeah, I got my.